how closely are you guys following what the governor is talking about of Florida for eliminating property tax? How closely are you following that? Are you kind of seeing where it's at? Rob, if you want to pull this up on what the governor has said, he's proposed adjusting property tax for the state of Florida to, allow, he's trying to make it more creative. Are you following this closely?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe share with us what he said so far, and it will and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if he at a state level is trying to find a way to make things, he wants to eliminate property tax, and it will be the only state that doesn't have property tax and doesn't have what do you call it, state income tax, right? It would be monumental for us to have that. The last time we had this was 120 years ago, 130 years ago to have something like this, right?
Yeah.
What could you say about what's going on here?
So the one thing that scares me about it a little bit, I mean, it's great for if you own a home, which, I'm actively looking right now. And so I'm seeing how much it costs in taxes per year for if you own a home, like depending on the price and whatnot. But so imagine the rush it would create if he suddenly did this for people who have like extra cash and if you no longer have to pay taxes on a home. So like I'm a little bit worried for if you do that without creating an incentive to build homes, what it would do to the upward pressure on the price. So I think it would drastically increase the price and value of houses if you're no longer paying taxes on it, because that's just like free money once you pay it off without some upkeep expenses.
Tom.
Well, there's an easy thing DeSantis could do on this and say, listen, this is for primary residences for residents, the primary residence for resident. And that if you are let's say, Pat, you and I decide we're going to buy 10 homes together, we pull some money, put a bunch of down payments, get some loans, and we run 10 Airbnbs.
Yep.
And we're in the Daytona area by the beach, and we're happily renting them out to vacationers that want to come for a week at spring break or a month in the summer, whatever it is. Well, we pay more property tax. That's what I'd say. You're operating a business, and the tax of operating a business in Florida is this. And then have the residences, the individual people that are out there buying food and goods and services and are trying to make it on their home, they don't pay the property tax. Now you're incentivizing home ownerships, and you're making sure you're clear about who should be the beneficial home owner. Because guess what? In my example, Pat and Tom could live in New York and be operating Airbnbs with a property management company. And by the way, and we're doing it at a fair price, a very reasonable price. And people love that our little homes that we do are well kept. We're running a good and fair business. However, that means also those homes aren't available for sale to residents here who are paying sales tax every time they go to the store and are supporting the local economy with their jobs or running a small business. So those people, residences, I agree with it, but people that own investment properties, Pat, no, I don't agree with it.
Okay, so here's a video, and Paul, I'm going to come to you. This is him talking about it. This thing goes viral. Everyone starts talking about, he's got a point here. Go ahead, Rob.
No, you should own your property free and clear. I think to say that someone that's been in their house for 35 years just has to keep ponying up money, that is not, you don't own your home if that's the case. So yes, of course, I'd like to see people be able to owe free and clear. And it's interesting because it's like if I go to Best Buy and buy a flat screen TV and put it on the wall, I got to pay a sales tax on it, right? But I don't keep paying tax on it every year. I mean, it's just that's not how we do things. It's like, okay, if you're going to tax something, you tax it at the transaction and then let people actually enjoy their private property free and clear of the government.
That they bought.
That, I think, is the vision. That's the philosophical insight. And if you think about our founding fathers, when they were proposing the Constitution, in one of the Federalist Papers, I think it was Hamilton, he's writing about, because, there was opposition to the Constitution. They were making a more powerful federal government than under the Articles of Confederation, and people worried about taxation. And they didn't have, obviously, a 16th Amendment, which eventually came on income tax, but basically you were not effectively allowed to do any direct taxation. It had to be indirect, meaning you couldn't just, you could theoretically just apply like a tax on land federally, but it'd have to be a portion among the states, so practically it could never work. So basically, Hamilton's saying, look, the indirect taxes are the most effective, efficient way to raise revenue for the government, because they basically allow the individual to choose how much tax they want to pay based on how much they're consuming. And there's a security, there's a protection against excessive tax in that regard.
Pause it right there.
Because
So, Paul, he's breaking this down to the audience. I'm going to play another clip here in a minute about a high school student that's asking him a question about this, and he goes even deeper into it. But what are your thoughts on trying to pull something like this off? Because it brings $61 billion in. Property tax every year brings $61 billion in, of which $43 billion of it is non-homestead, and $18 billion to $21 billion of it is homestead.
Mm-hmm.
So more of the property tax is coming from
Right.
non-homestead
Yep.
than homestead. How do you address this issue?
I'm in agreement with Tom on this in terms of doing it for residences in the state of Florida. Obviously, he's got to go through the Florida Constitution to get this done. The concern I have right now is going to be on the side of the homeowners insurance. And as you know, Pat, homeowners insurance in Florida is, one, can you even get it? And then you're dealing with just absolutely astronomical rates. I just wonder if the insurance companies are going to start feeding more, if we start to see less property tax, especially for a homeowner.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole story there. But this is the high school student. Just this last week, he asked this question at this event. Rob, if you want to play this clip, and the governor responds.
Yes, I'm a senior.
okay, good.
So in the past year, we've heard a lot of talk about cutting the property taxes. I wanted to see if that's actually going to happen or what your policy is on that.
Yeah, so the way property tax works in Florida, because people say, oh, you can't do property tax, the state would have to raise the sales tax. We don't get any property tax revenue. I have a surplus. I've tripled the rainy day fund. I've paid off, out of 180
Watch the
years of the
point he
state
makes.
having debt, I've paid off half of it just since I've been governor. We have millions of more people than New York, and our budget's less than half of New York's budget. Our budget's actually less than New York City's budget. They have 8 million people, we have 23 and a half, and yet New York City has a bigger budget than Florida, and that's before Mandami nationalizes the grocery store. So we're clicking, like we don't need any money, we run surplus, but I don't really have any more taxes at the state level I can really cut. We have no income tax. We've made all baby items tax-free. We've done permanent back-to-school sales tax holiday, disaster sales tax. We eliminated the business rent tax. And so, a lot of our sales tax, groceries, and so, you want to be able, especially young people, to be able to afford a home. They say the median age for buying a home now in the U.S. is the highest it's ever been. I think it's in like the 40s to buy your first home or something. I read something crazy. If you're 28, married with 2 kids already, you really don't have access to buying a home right now unless you're making, you're in the top 1% of income earners. And so you basically are an ATM for the local government. You don't really own your home, because if you stop paying the tax, they can take your home. So what we said is that's wrong. You shouldn't have to pay rent to the government. If you really want to own a home, that should mean you own it free and clear of the local government. So exemption.
You can pause it right there. I mean, that's a call out to a lot of local governments. That's a call out to a lot of different things. That's a call out to New York politics. That's a call out to a lot of different things he's talking about. Brandon, when you hear your governor talking like this, as somebody who just turned 30 yourself, what do you think about when your governor's speaking like this?
I love it. I appreciate it. It gets me fired up, and he's totally right. I mean, the thing is, though, that it doesn't address part of the problem that he's mentioning there, like with the cost of it, the cost of the house initially. It's not like the taxes getting removed is going to fix that. I think it's going to make the cost of the house go up, actually. So, but I do appreciate deeply the spirit of what he's saying and the way he runs the state compared to other states. Like, I think other states might intentionally run themselves badly so they could get money from the federal government. But I still think it could go full circle back to what I said before, where we need to put a ton of energy into finding out a way to make home builders build homes or incentivize them too, because that's how you fix the price side of things. But I definitely agree with that.
And so one of the things they talked about is, where are you going to go? Are you going to add a VAT? Are you going to add a sales tax? He's like, no, we don't want to do that. Then what do you want to do? We're going to tax tourists. Like, let's just say the hotels and stuff that they're doing, and because 10% of the revenue that they get every year, the state's GDP is 10% comes from tourism. So if the room is going to be $300 a night, add a tax to it. 20% is what? $60. and maybe tourists would pay for it. Like, yeah, when you go into tourism, you're willing to splurge. We kind of talked about it yesterday, with Stephen A. We're having dinner. This conversation was kind of being brought up. Of, yeah, I'll pay for it. Tourists will pay for it. If I'm in a splurging mode, I'll probably spend some of the money there. But the question becomes, say he does that. Let's go there. Say the announcement is made. It's official. Homestead, Florida, no taxes. What happens?
A ton of people move here.
You think so?
Yeah.
Tom, what do you think happens? It's done. The only state in America, no property tax for homestead if you live here, and no state income tax. What happens?
Well, I think no state income tax. So if you're going to take what you've just done is increase the disposable income for me as a citizen of Florida. And if I've got a 3% mortgage that I didn't want to sell in the first place, and now I'm not paying property tax, you've probably made me more likely to stay there and now put that savings in my pocket as a citizen rather than move, perhaps. Maybe I was about to retire and I was thinking I was going to have to move from my house because the Social Security and maybe a small pension or a little tiny savings that I've got, that I wasn't going to be able to afford to stay in my house, that it was paid off. But with the property tax and insurance going up, I was going to have to move out to a condo. I might stay in my house.
Yeah.
Instead of selling it?
Yep. What do you think?
Well, I look at it this way. I think you're going to get the best of the best coming into Florida. Already, it was mostly the rich coming into Florida. Now, I think you could lure in Texas and Tennessee participants, who are really the only other two competing states, at least in the South, that would be potential for really great people coming in. And that means entrepreneurs, which could, of course, mean starting businesses. I think it starts to roll into the economy in other ways. Obviously, as a resident of Florida, I like the idea because this would keep me here as opposed to get me back into Austin or somewhere like that. That's another challenge that I think the state of Florida has to deal with.
You've thought about going to Austin?
Oh, yeah, going back.
Why?
To Texas. Well, I think for me, that was where I was born and raised, so it was. It's more of a home thing for me. But I like the spirit of Texas and what they're trying to do in tech. I haven't seen that in Florida yet. Granted, I love what DeSantis is doing. They attempted to do some things in blockchain and crypto here in Miami, and I like what the mayor of Miami has been able to do, but it just has not been the kind of advancements that we've seen in places like Austin.
What would you like to see? What
I think
would
a
you
tech
consider a good
innovation
amount?
corridor or something that really amplifies tech, especially now with AI. We need to move into investing in some entrepreneurs and in investing. And the problem is, Patrick, finding real estate for a business in South Florida is very difficult. We've been trying to build a new studio. Trying to find that is just almost impossible. You have to find something like what you found, which is a gem. But getting into the idea of Florida becoming a tech state, that's a big concern I have. Right now, it's a real estate and investment state, which is fine. That's great, but I think the future is in tech.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting because we were at a conference with Goldman last week, and every speaker got up speaking about Texas. If there is a city and a state that could be the next financial capital of the world, the argument is Dallas, Texas.
Dallas.
Not Austin. Austin's different, but Dallas, Texas. Now, Austin is more like the San Francisco of Texas.
Right, no doubt.
So they don't mind that. That's the idea they want. There's a lot of people moving to Austin as well. But we'll see. This is the great thing about competition. The one thing I hear about what he's talking about is, Rob, can you go on the Kalshi report on where 2028 presidential candidates are? If you go to 2028 presidential candidates on the Republican side, where is DeSantis on that list? Mm-hmm. Can you type in some of let's just see where Republican candidates, where's DeSantis on that list?
I think you just click more at the bottom there, right below Donald Trump, more markets.
Look at where he's at. Think about it. So take President Trump out. That's the one. So you got J.D. Rubio, then DeSantis. Okay. So Donald Trump, great. Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's what happened the last week and a half. Glenn Youngkin, okay, go a little bit lower. Don Jr., fantastic. Ted Cruz, Tulsi, Tucker, Abbott, Kemp, Massey, Haley, Sanders, RFK Jr., Vivek. And then you got Gates, Donald, Stefanik, Muscat, because I don't think he was born here. And you got Hawley, and you got a bunch of other names. So what I'm trying to say is DeSantis is on that list. DeSantis is on that list. So maybe he's trying to show, and this is a story to come and say, let's make America Florida. Like, imagine if that's his campaign. Hey, and then he goes up and he says, why are you paying this for your property tax? You know how many people would get behind it? You know how many people? I mean, this could be a very interesting case study for him to come and present and then say, man, I wouldn't mind a guy like that coming up here because affordability, what's the chances that affordability is going to be a top 3 issue in 2028?
For sure.
100%.
100%, maybe even number 1, right? But it depends. So, but regardless if it's going to be affordability, he's doing that for the younger audience. That was a young group of kids, high school seniors that were asking him questions.
Yeah.
So he's trying to show, I want to hear you out. I don't know. I think, and he kind of tried to be a little bit funny and sarcastic and witty when he kind of said, well, you can't raise the taxes. I don't know, maybe he's doing some, exercise to see if he can bring out his personality for this next thing.
Well, DeSantis matters. And the J.D. Vance has taken the air out of the room, and every poll, call sheet's got him up there over 50%. So we know where that is. But it's very interesting. He's one of the next 2 or 3 names, which means he matters, and he's probably going to be in cabinet.
Yeah.
And I would love to see him in commerce, or I would love, not really Treasury, but I'd love to see him driving American jobs, Secretary of Commerce, bringing some of these good thoughts to the nation as a whole. And DeSantis matters.
He's got to get closer to, and he already is. You're seeing good things with him and the president. His strategy, someone's got to be in his ear in helping him really realizing how to manage that relationship. And you don't know what could happen. When was the falling out between Pence and Trump? Rob, can you find out the exact date of the falling out with Pence and Trump? The exact date. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because for the longest time, everybody was thinking Pence and Trump are what? Buddy.
Yep.
What was the exact date of the falling out that a comment was made between Pence and Trump? So Trump gets in when? January 20th, 2017.
Right.
Okay, give or take. I think it's January 20th, 2017.
Was it like March after J6?
That's
what I
it's
figured,
January 6th. So what does this mean? Nothing happened until J6?
Yep.
Okay, so that means till then,
They're publicly amicable.
they were publicly amicable. He was speaking highly of him. So you have to also realize the unpredictable side of the president. If JD makes one bad comment about him as the VP or whatever, so meaning this is one of those things where all of a sudden, boom, the Wally Pipp story. Wally Pipp's the first baseman for the Yankees. All of a sudden, he's sick. Something happens. He steps out, and this guy was a 2-time home run champion in baseball. And then the guy that comes and replaces him is a guy named Lou Gehrig and doesn't leave for 2,000 days, whatever the amount of games that he played, bunch of games. And nobody today knows Wally Pipp, but you know who? You know Lou Gehrig. So I don't know. Politics is interesting, and things can change very quickly. 2026 is around the corner. And for some of you guys that have a dream, you have a vision, you have something that you get excited about, this is something I want to share with you that I was excited about. For 3.5 years, I kept telling my kids, one day, I kept telling my wife, one day. And it all starts like this with a decision and a plan. I want you to watch this video. Go ahead, Rob. So I want to show you something. For 3.5 years, I would drive past this street and I would look at this property, 11 acres on the airport, one of the last properties of its kind. I said, one day I want to own this property. We eventually bought it. When we did, there was nothing here. I said, I want to build a soccer field here. Boom. We got a futsal soccer field. This hangar here, I said, you know what? For election night, why don't we do a live event? This turned into an event. The biggest live stream worldwide on YouTube on election night. 2,000 people were here. I said, let's take that hangar on the other side. Let's turn it into a gym. Basketball, jiu-jitsu, weights. Boom, now it's a gym. Let's take that upstairs, which was a 2-bedroom for the pilots. Let's open it up and fit 51 employees there. Boom, we have that now. I got a bunch of other things to tell you about that we got going on here, but everything started with a plan. If you're watching this yourself saying, Pat, I got big plans as well. I host an event called the Business Planning Workshop. If you haven't yet registered, but you got big plans, click on a link below, get registered. I will see you there. And by the way, keep this in mind, guys. The next 72 hours, it's estimated that people are going to spend a ton of money on Black Friday on many different things. Spend is one thing. Invest is another one if you got big plans for 2026. invest into yourself. Go register for this. I'll see you December 12th to cover a 200-page manual so you can write a plan going into 2026.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.